It is game week 12 on FPL, and today I keep it short and sweet and tell you one major error that over 200,000 FPL players are making ahead of this game week. Let's get straight into it. Roll the intro.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. My name is Jordan, and if you are here for the first time and you're not already, please do us a very quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It is free as always. Let's get straight into this episode. Now, in Lost in Possession tradition, I absolutely have to start this episode with a review of the previous game week, and I will keep it very brief. Bang average, 32 points, right on the average mark. Obviously, a disappointing week for me. Weirdly, I did have a couple of green arrows in some of the mini leagues, which pretty much sums up the state of game week 11. Just doing a quick review of my team. Obviously, the Newcastle clean sheet for Trippier was my biggest points tally and a big win. The gutting thing for me is that I had Lascelles on the bench for 9 points, and I wasn't sure when it came to the Sunday if Diaz, because of all the issues going on, whether he was going to start. So I was optimistic actually that potentially Diaz wouldn't start, or Tsimikas wouldn't come off the bench and I'd get the 9-pointer. But in the end, it didn't happen. So a bit gutted. Obviously, the Spurs haul, I kind of got away with one. Most players have Son and Maddison already. Luckily for me, Doggy was on the bench and was never coming on. But I've seen a lot of players, and obviously this explains the low average. A lot of players had Doggy starting and took the -4. So it's been a bit of a disaster week all round, but we move on. Touching on Haaland in my strikers, he is winding me up, to put it bluntly. He's scoring goals in the Champions League, nothing in the league, even when Man United are winning, like the game against Fulham. So very, very frustrating. Do I stick with him at home to Luton? I'm going to have to, Honor. But yeah, let's move on. So let's get into the major talking point that I want to discuss today. I believe what you see in front of you is a massive, massive error that so many, as you can see, over 230,000 players are making this game week. Sell Erling Haaland. Why? Why are players selling Erling Haaland? He is the £40 million man. He's the guy who's broken the game and that you almost have to set as captain every single week without fail. And over 200,000 players have looked at the fixtures and gone, no, not having it, and want to move their funds elsewhere. Do I think this is crazy? Maybe not. Do I think it's a mistake? Absolutely. As I've said before on this podcast, you just don't sell Erling Haaland. I'm sorry, it's as simple as that. The guy is a machine. And on paper, Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, Tottenham at home, and then Villa away, doesn't look a great fixture list, really. It doesn't look a great set of fixtures. But that would be the case for any other player in the game. But we are talking about a man, Erling Haaland, who's broken and shattered so many records in his first season. Everyone's calling him a robot. And to put it bluntly, he is probably one of the only players in the league who is genuinely capable of scoring away to Chelsea, at home to Liverpool, at home to Spurs, and away to Villa without much of an issue. Now, yes, you can criticise some of his XG stats in the bigger games this season, and there has been games where City have struggled and he's arguably gone missing. But I would still back Haaland to deliver in 1, 2, maybe even 3 of those 4 games. And you've got to think about who you're going to get him out for. Who are you going to replace him with? Obviously, it gives you a lot of funds, but if you're not using the wild card, you've only got 1 or maybe 2 transfers. You've got to ensure that the replacement you're bringing in for Haaland is going to deliver more likely than Haaland. And for me, I do not believe that there is anyone in the game that will do that in the next few game weeks. Might be a bold statement, but let's flip to the other side now and actually analyse who people are bringing in for Haaland. So here, Doku, the Doku debate. Now, he had a sensational game week 11, absolutely ran the show for Man City in their 6-1 win at home to Bournemouth. However, again, it's something we've said before on the podcast. Don't knee-jerk react into players. Now, I must say, I've been very, very impressed with Doku. He's lively, he's skillful, he can finish, he can assist. He is genuinely a very talented footballer. But on the flip side of everything I've just said about Haaland and City's tough run, maybe people are doing a double switch. Maybe people are using two transfers and maybe getting rid of Haaland, investing the funds elsewhere. But if you're swapping Doku for Haaland and then you're switching your strikers round, you're swapping the best City player, arguably, for another City player based on one game's form, which for me, I just think is simply a mistake. You've now got three, and on the flip side to what I just said, you've now got over 300,000 players piling into Doku, where Man City have a very tough run of fixtures. So Doku is looking good, but Doku isn't Haaland. Do I think Doku is going to score in 2, 3, 4 of those games I just showed you? I don't think so. Yes, he's capable of getting an assist and contributions, but I think you just have to stick with Erling Haaland here. As simple as that. Personally, for me, just quickly going back to Man City's fixtures, I do like Doku. At the minute, I've got Foden in my team, so I probably won't replace Foden. But if I do want to replace Man City midfield or get rid of Foden, I will be honest. At this game week, away to Luton, then at home to Palace, and so on, I would be considering bringing Doku in. I just don't think at this stage it's worth bringing Doku in, especially if you're doing it for Haaland with a double transfer. So yeah, FPL players, over 200,000 of you potentially making this mistake. Do not do it. Finally, just to round up this episode, I did promise it would be short and sweet. Let's quickly review some of the other top transfers in this game week. Nketiah, again, really, really stepping up. In the absence of Jesus, he is stepping up. He is delivering goals. He's looking lively. And that is why 200k players plus have got him in the team. You look at their fixtures, Arsenal, and it does look pretty, pretty good. At the minute in my team, for looking ahead of the game week, I've not got any Arsenal players in. When I did my wild card, I didn't bring him in. That is probably something I'm eyeing up this game week to turn around. Burnley at home, Brentford away, Wolves, Luton, Villa, and Brighton. Healthy run of fixtures for Arsenal. So I do agree now is probably the time to start piling into Arsenal again. On the flip side, I'll touch on Bowen quickly. Bowen is on fire. I won't finish the rest of that song, but you know the words. West Ham, again, in form at the minute. Yes, they lost to Brentford, but I still think overall they're having a good start to the season. They've got a couple of good wins, some impressive displays. Maybe West Ham fans will disagree. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you do. But you've got to look at the fixtures. At the moment, between Bowen and Kudus, he's probably looking the more lively. I'd probably, if you want a differential pick, I think Mohamed Kudus could be the player. But at the minute, Bowen is the banker. Forest at home, Burnley away, Palace at home, Spurs away, tough, but then Fulham and Wolves. So I do agree with the 140,000 players here with Bowen and Nketiah. But as I said, in summary of this episode, do not sell Haaland, in my opinion, especially not for Doku. But anyway, that wraps us up for another edition of the Lost in Possession podcast. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.